Installing headers on a D-port Pontiac is probably one of the least enjoyable things you can do with old cars. Okay, putting headers on a C-body or a B-body Mopar, well, any Mopar, that's worse. And don't get me started on E-bodies because they're like a whole world unto themselves. While it's a lot easier to put headers on without all that sheet metal and nasty stuff and everything else, in the way, you can still do it with an incomplete car. It's not that difficult. And you don't need a lift either. But however, in the interest of being able to show you what the heck I'm doing, I'm going to do it without the front sheet metal on it and on my lift because it just makes things so much easier. So with that out of the way, let's get to it. Here we have a fine example of a 455 sitting in a 71 Firebird. Yeah! And you can see just how much room there isn't for headers, or there is for headers. If you're a Chevy guy, this is completely out of your wheelhouse. If you're a Cleveland guy, well, you're familiar, except you have a lot more sheet metal in the way. First thing you need to do, especially if you're working on old rusty junk like I do, is chase all the bolt holes. It makes things so much easier. Second thing, get some good quality bolts because cheap bolts suck. You're going to see just how difficult it is to get things tight when the bolts round off because they slip on the wrench. So get good bolts. This will turn it into a one-man job rather than needing a small pony, 2 young men, and a greased monkey to get the bolts in. You start by putting this bolt in first. This is the first one you put in. Do not put any others in until you get this one in. At this point in the video, I discovered that I needed to chase the threads with a tap. Otherwise, it was just going to suck. So here we are, threads chased, and that was not enjoyable. Trust me. Handle that before you put the heads on or the engine in the car. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need a crowbar and 4 gallons of Crisco to put headers on a Pontiac.
Good and tight.
Mama says this is the way the babies are made, but I don't think Mama's right about that.
Even I can put the headers in there with my ham-fisted sausage fingers, these giant friggin' hands I got, so you little guys can do it too, trust me. Okay, so remember that first bolt that I told you to put in? I had to pull it out because the header wouldn't fit past the block and the frame with the bolt in. But it's no big deal. That's still the first one that you put in. And the first one that, holds the thing in place. Because if you're doing this from underneath it, it'll fall out on your frickin' head. It'll just bash you in the head like, a wrench falling off a lift or something. So you might could lose an eye or something, if a wrench falls off and bashes you in the noggin and takes out an eye socket, that'd be kind of ugly. Nobody would want that. Now, sometimes you need to have a little bit of persuasion to lift the engine up so you can fit the bolt past the tube. Like I'm seeing here, there's a slot in the back of that header right where that bolt's at. You see that? It just fit in there? Yeah, that's what you want. Now, from this point, there's 2 different ways to go about it. You can put all the bolts in and modify the gaskets the way that I show you, or you put the gaskets in and then try to feed all the bolts through it. I like to put all the bolts in, then slide the gasket in, or a couple of the bolts so it's in there sort of stable-like, because they tend to fall out on your head. On this side, I decided to put the gasket in first, then start the bolts because I modified the gasket to fit anyway. Cutting those slots in it so that the bolts will fit in through the gasket instead of having them feed them through the holes. Although the holes on these gaskets do line up pretty well. It's just easier for me to do it this way, and it's the way that I've been doing it for, 30-some years. Now check it out. It slides in there pretty easy. You got to be careful with it because they are a little bit fragile. If you knock any of that stuff off, then they ain't going to seal. You have to have them pretty much intact. Now, they can be a little thin around the bolt holes where I trimmed it, but it'll still work because the headers, they clamp down pretty decent. Man, this is really... There aren't very many things to look at when you're putting headers on, Well, let's make it black and white just for fun. Alright, so now I start putting the bolts in and lining things up and getting it all squared away. And there are a couple of them that are difficult, so you need slightly shorter bolts to make it real easy, but it goes pretty easy for the most part. And now we get to the tightening sequence. Yes, there's a sequence. You do the inner 2 first, then the outer 2 inners, then the outer ones. Just like bolting down a cylinder head when you got that pattern. You do the ones in the middle and then you work outwards. I have some different sized wrenches with different angles or different lengths, and because some of them need to fit into tighter spots or different angles. And when you do this bolt right here, you'll see that you need a pretty severe angle on some of them and not so severe other times, because you only get about one flat, maybe two flats on it. The other side you can get from underneath, but you still have to do it the same way with a wrench. You can't get a socket on it. It's kind of a pain, but it's doable. Just takes a little time. On 4 of the bolts, you can use the box end, which is really handy, but if you don't have the right angle on it, then you run into the control arms and stuff. Just get you some different length shorties and medium length, and sometimes you can actually use gear wrenches like on the end ones, because you got plenty of room there. So you just have to sort of figure it out which wrenches you need. And the cheap ones work really good, because this particular wrench I'm using right now is a really cheap one, and it's really thin, and it fits in there so nice, and the jaws are kind of short, so it doesn't really take up a lot of space, so I can get a little bit more turn out of it. So hunt around for a good 7/16 or 3/8, whichever bolts you use. Then you have a wrench for headers. And then you'll drop it, just like I did. Telescoping magnets are your best friend if you don't have a lift. While putting this header on and recording, I dropped like 3 bolts, and guess where they went? To the center of the car or the other side of the car. They never just drop straight down. They go off and decide to try to hide themselves somewhere. Now this is the driver's side, and since the steering sector, the steering column, whatever you want to call it, the big old honking thing that connects the steering column to the steering box is in the way, it's kind of a pain to get to the back 2 bolts. So it's real easy when they're on the lift, or if you can raise it up high enough that you can crawl under it and get to it with a 3/8 extension and a little wobbly socket on the end. That works pretty darn good, I tell you what. It took me a little bit to get them both in there and started and tightened up, because I did a little work on the floor pans, and the floor pans have clearance for headers, and the patch that I made hung down too low, and I had to do some percussive maintenance with a heavy old persuader, a BFH, because you just gotta whack things and make room. These are the 1 5/8 Summit headers that fit the 70 to 81 Firebirds, and then the 64 to 72 GTOs and A bodies. I've never really needed to bash on them a whole lot. The 65 had a little bit of interference with the control arm, but a clearance control arm. So 64 to 66, 67 frames might have a little bit of interference here and there. The headers for the 67 to 69 Firebird and 71 to 74 Ventura are different. They're much easier to bolt on. These are the Ventura headers. So much easier to work on this thing than a 2nd gen Firebird, mainly because the engine sits further back. It's actually behind the center line of the axle. The early F and Ventura headers are substantially more expensive. How do these cheap 1 5/8 headers perform? Well, pretty decent. This Firebird ran 1140s with a 342 gear, and these headers on a D-port 455, and it only shifted like 5,800. That was when it weighed 3,750 pounds without my gelatinous carcass in it. That was a few years ago, and since then I've gone to a 461 with some Edelbrock heads that are the round ports, and then the round ports headers are even more expensive, but oh my god, they are so much easier to work on. If you can afford it, just go ahead and put some Edelbrocks or KRE round ports on it and spend the money on the headers, because you will not hate yourself in your car as much as if you try to do all of this to D ports. Believe it.